on to doing the draft for the dress. I'm going to start with the front. So if I have this secured with the chipboard to make it firmer, all I will need to do is place it over paper, trace it out, and reuse to do any other dress or a bodice or whatever sewing project I want to embark on. But for this, I'm just going to use this to show you how to draft the dress from paper. So now I've cut out another pattern from the first one, so I'm going to trace out the markings on the other one, because if I take this out, it's a blank sheet, so I want to be able to see my markings on the one under when I take this off. Out the front bodice. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm not going to make this dress so long. I just want to use the length we can achieve from the length of this paper. So what we're going to do now is find the midpoint on the shoulder of the bodice you've traced out. So the midpoint is, there's a seam allowance here. I'm going to mark it out so that you can see. Okay. So you find the midpoint on the shoulder. So the shoulder actually starts here and ends here. These are seam allowances. So I'm going to mark. The shoulder is 5 inches, so the midpoint here is there. So you take a straight line from the mid shoulder to the dart point. Okay. want to move this enough to give us the waist on the skirt, on the bottom part rather. Okay, so now I've done this, I'm going to hold this in place. I'll just hold this in place. So remember when we did the skirt, we used the widest, the fullest part of the hip measurement. So the hip, we're using a quarter of the hip measurement, which is 10 and half. So remember, like when we're doing the skirts, we use the widest or the fullest part of the lower body, which is the hip. So I'm going to do a draft for the lower part of this dress. Okay, so I'm going to mark out the lower portion now, but I'm going to step out a bit, 1 inch from the side of my paper. Okay, so from here I'm going to measure out a quarter of the hip measurement plus 1 inch, because we already have seam allowance here, 1 inch seam allowance there, so we're going to make provision for that. So we're going to have now 11.5 inch. Seam allowances on the waist, so I'm going to take out this seam allowance here. Because it's just going to be a continuous dress. So remember, we have 1 inch seam allowance to the side, so I'm going to mark that out to align with this line on the edge here. What you want to do is to make sure your center front for the bodice and the bottom are properly aligned. From the bust, that point there, and you will connect. So we're going to draft the dart for the waist. So remember your dart placement. So we used 4 inches earlier. Here, 1 inch from this line, from the bust line. I'm coming down 1 inch again. So this dart is going to be 1/2 inch dart. So we're going to have a 1/4 inch on both sides. I'm going to give a space of 1 1/4. This dart equals the other one, so the same measurement you use here is the same measurement you're going to use here. We're having a 1/2 inch dart here. We're also going to plot a 1/2 inch dart here. So you just follow this measurement. You know, we came down 1 inch from the top there. Okay, from the dart point, 1 inch from the dart point, and we measured to the waistline, and then 3 1/2 inches below this point. Alright, so that is it for the top. So I'm going to connect the dart legs. At this point, you may want to peg the bottom. Okay, so this is the hem of this dress. I could decide to make the bottom narrower to give it a better fit around the knee area. So I'm going to come down here and narrow it in a bit. So I'm going to narrow it here by, say, because this is not it's not long enough, so this actually doesn't get to the knee because of the length of the paper. So I'm just showing you this so that you see, just in case you want a narrower fit around the knee. So you just come at the bottom, at the hem there, and if this was longer I would do 1 inch. So I'll still do okay, no, I will not do 1 inch. I'm going to do 7/8 of an inch, like that, and then draw a straight line from the hip line. So just to avoid having sharp angles, I'm going to smoothen this out so we have a smooth curve there. So now, after plotting this double dart for the waist, I want to check the measurement of the waist to see that after sewing we're going to have your actual waist measurement. So I'm just going to come here and measure. So for the waist, remember the waist is 32 inches. Let me do that here because I'll need this part of the paper. So the waist is 32 inches, okay? So divided by 4, we have 8 inches for the waist, right? So now we have 2 darts plus 1 inch dart. Okay, the 2 darts are 1 inch, and then we have 1 inch seam allowance. So what we should have here is 10 inches, and then you decide if you want some ease or if you're just okay with the measurements as it is, because this is basically from patterns you've done before. Alright, so I'm going to measure, so from the center front to the side seam, I should have 10 inches. Alright, so I have here 10.5. Alright, so I could decide to leave this as is, that is ease, to have a looser fit, or I could decide to take it in to give me a more fitted waistline. I choose to take it in. So I'm going to go in here by half inch just to give me the measurement for the waist, and I'm going to adjust that. So for the hip, I'll be using a curve. Okay, so now that I've taken in the waistline, I'm going to readjust the side seam also, just like I did for the hemming at the pegging at the hem. Straight line here. Curved seam here. Remember, we already have seam allowances on the neckline and on the shoulder, and we've added the seam allowances, so we're done with the front. So I'm going to cut this out and then we create the back. I'm done with the front dress button, so I'm going to indicate here, cut one, unfold. So I'll set this aside and then do the draft for the back. So this is the back. I'm going to, just like we did in the front, I'm going to pin this and extend the length. When you're doing this, be sure, please, when you're doing this, be sure to have measured the length of the dress where you want the dress to get to, either a knee-length dress or a full-length dress. Just make sure you have already the measurement or the length of the dress you want. So I'm going to show you